Hello YouTube, and welcome to David Hassel's Retro Game Reviews. This week I'll be reviewing my most favourite game console of all time. It is the Dreamcast. This is a fantastic machine and it's my all-time favourite game console. And it did so many amazing things. It had so many great games, peripherals, you know. There's so much to talk about this system. So let's get on with the review. I love this machine. I mean, it's well built. You know, and the failure rate was just non-existent. I never heard of anyone ever having a problem with the machine. It uses GD-ROMs, which hold about 1.2 gigabytes, which back then, you know, and for most of the last generation was more than enough. But I think one of the things is, though, that in Japan this thing was huge, and then suddenly the PS2 comes out, and people are like, ooh, DVD? For about the first, I don't know, first few months, people weren't even playing games on, they were playing DVDs. And which is funny because the machine, the one country the Sega Saturn was a success was Japan, you know, and the rest of the world it kind of flopped a bit. There was a reversal. I mean, it did initially brilliantly across Europe and across America, and as soon as the PS2 came, boom, they lost Japan, and that was it. But it's a brilliant system, though. I mean, every single one of them had a built-in modem. If I can get it off, right. That's the cool thing about it, every single system had one of these, so potentially every single one of them could connect online. Right, I'll just put it back on. Now the one thing I liked about it was the controller. It was really comfortable. You know, you had your triggers, which are really nice. Analog stick, I like it. I mean, some people do complain about it, saying it's too slippery, but if your thumb stays on there, doesn't slide off anywhere. It's a nice D-pad. And the buttons do feel really nice as well. And if you look at this, right, this was the controller they released for Nights into Dreams. If you look at it, they look exactly alike. Other than the fact you've got the 6 buttons here and 4 there, and a VMU slot, they are practically identical. You can definitely tell that when they built this, they definitely based it on that. And the best thing is this. These VMUs were, to me, they are really clever. I mean, alright, I know the N64 had the rumble packs and the memory cards in the controller, but this thing had 2 slots, which means you could put memory card and ROM pack in there. And these are really cool. I mean, anything about them I complain about it is the batteries. You mean, within 2 months, they go completely dead. That's the only thing about it. I mean, if they were rechargeable, you know, and this, you know, these things would have been incredible. You could play little games. You could even link 2 of them together, like, right. You can play games together, transfer information, and instantly you got a screen, which is really cool. Because I mean, like some games like Resident Evil, you never ever see your health. Look on your controller, you can see how much ammo you've got, and you can see your health. It's really clever. No one's ever tried it since, which I'm surprised. I would have thought someone else would have done it again at least. I'll show you some of the games. The best game for the system is definitely Shenmue. Brilliant game. I mean, this thing apparently cost over 70 million to make, which is absolutely insane. And they reckon that like every person with a Dreamcast would have to have bought like 2 copies for it to break even. And the sequel, absolutely incredible. And the best thing about it is once you complete the first one, your save game could transfer to this, which is really good. You couldn't do it on the Xbox version. This is really good because this was only released in Europe and Japan. America never got this, which was a massive shame. I mean, a lot of them had to wait for the Xbox version or import this version. Okay, I'll show some more of the games. Resident Evil Code Veronica, absolutely brilliant game. The thing I liked about the Dreamcast was the arcade ports were absolutely perfect. Then again, the arcade hardware was based on, well, that's what they based the Dreamcast on. Brilliant game, and this is far better than the PS2 version. Same with this one. The PS2 version was absolutely horrible, but this This version was like running like a souped up PC version. Fantastic. House of the Dead 2, arcade perfect, brilliant game. This was the first online enabled game, and this was being bundled with every single Dreamcast, I think after the first year. It's a really good game, it's really addictive. Oh yes, Sonic Adventure 2. It's actually quite rare actually. Cost me a pretty penny, but it is a brilliant game. Arcade perfect. It's a fantastic game and looks really good. I played the newest one, and I'll be honest with you, this and the one that's Saturn are much better. This is a good game actually. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I do prefer the arcade version, but this is a good game. Sega Bass Fishing, absolutely brilliant. That's the thing about Dreamcast. They were doing these kind of games long before the Wii ever did. But then again, with the Wii, you know, the Wii remote could be used to do anything. Whereas with the Dreamcast, they had a lot of add-on. They had a lot of peripherals, like the fishing controller. This is for example, right here. And you just had the light gun, which is really cool. But unfortunately, with HD TVs, all the old light guns just don't work anymore, which is a shame. Sonic Adventure, you know, this is the first game I got for my system. I absolutely love this game. Even now, it looks amazing. Resident Evil 2, absolutely brilliant, and I want to get Resident Evil 3 for the Dreamcast as well. And Space Channel 5. That's what I liked about the Dreamcast, is they went absolutely nuts, and they did some incredible games. I mean, they haven't really done anything like this since. And Seaman, Sam and Amiga. I mean, I know they did a remake, well, sort of like a Dreamcast port, as you can say, on the Wii. But nah, I've got to say, this is a fantastic system. I mean, I'm always looking out for new games for it. Brilliant. So, my final thoughts. I've got to say, my favourite console is the Dreamcast, hands down. It only had a 2-year lifespan, but it had so many great games. And the good thing about it is it's so undervalued. I mean, if you go on eBay, you can pick them up for practically nothing. And most of the games you can pick up for very little, and the controllers and the memory cards. I mean, if you wanted a good console, you know, get some good games, some controllers, have a good laugh, and not cost you a fortune, the Dreamcast is definitely the way to go. And if you're a game collector, it's definitely a must-have. It gets the David Hasselhoff thumb of approval. One thing I mentioned in my last video was that I would be using my new intro now. Unfortunately, it's still being worked on. But it'll be worth the wait, I promise you. Until next time, peace out.